Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are you all doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. How was your weekend? Let's say very quick good morning to 10 Star Simulation. Just joined us over on Instagram, and good morning to Billy Rich as well, who's also on Instagram. Come back to all of that in just a moment. I am going to say very quick good morning to Jim Turner, who has just joined us. Gary Muirhead is here as well. Mark Whiting's here. Dan Cullen is here as well. And we have a very special guest lurking behind the scenes as well. I'll come to that in just a moment. But apparently it is Chris Ford's birthday today. I haven't actually seen Chris in the chat as yet. So I'll say happy birthday to Chris Ford now, but when he does turn up, I'll play some suitable confetti for him. Now, if the gods of technology continue to smile upon us, we have a very special guest, I've already mentioned, to talk about Hammerglass, which was probably the most exciting product I saw at Hillhead. I'll be showing you what the product looks like and how it works, and then hopefully I'll be joined by one of the Hammerglass team, my friend Florin, who you can ask him questions and what have you, and he'll be able to tell you a whole lot more about all of this. Just one other quick point before we get started. It is Monday, and so there is a new column now for your reading pleasure. I think I mentioned on Friday that I was planning to write an open letter to our brand new Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, and I've done precisely that. Those of you that are part of our WhatsApp group should already have the link, and some of you I know have already read it. For the rest of you, I will put a link into the chat right about when I can get the right button. There we are. You should be looking at that right about now. And look who has just joined us, Chris Ford, the birthday boy himself. Chris, bear with me 1 second while I get to the right place. This is to celebrate your birthday. There you are, Chris Ford. I'm sure he's about 21 or thereabouts, but congratulations and happy birthday. Many happy returns to Mr. Ford. There's Jim Turner saying exactly the same thing. I think that just about wraps things up. So yes, you've got the link to the article. You've got the birthday message for Chris Ford, a whole other bunch of stuff as well. So without further ado, just one other thing that I do need to mention, which is this. There you are. That's Wednesday, 7 p.m. This Wednesday, we'll be joined by not one, but two members of the Volvo team to talk about, well, basically their very, very large product launch that I attended a few weeks back. Lots of new excavators, ADTs, rigid trucks, whole bunch of electric stuff. We're going to dedicate an entire show to them. So if you are around at 7 p.m. on Wednesday this week, please join in. You can ask questions and take part and all the usual things. I'll be telling you more about that at some point in the future. But given that we do have a guest today, I'm going to press on. So let me get the show started. I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. It is Monday, the 8th of July. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, Unbreakable, why Hammerglass took Hillhead by storm. CDI chops down a chimney. Caterpillar grabs the lead in the forestry sector. Plus, we'll be heading back to Hillhead 2024 to check out the awesome stand of the mighty Liebherr. But before we get to all that, there is today's small matter of the mystery machine to solve. So let me show you what you've got to work with. Right, just to give you a very quick heads up, the machine that I'm about to show you, it has a number, it has a number that it's known by, but it also, and I can't think of too many machines like this, it also has a nickname. Okay, that's the only clue you're getting, and this is what you need to identify. Can you tell me just from that, and I know what the machine is, but I couldn't actually identify whether that's the back or the front, but if you can tell me what that machine is, either by its name or better still by its nickname, I'd be very, very impressed indeed. Did somebody just guess? Nope, that was completely unrelated. So I'll take that away. I'll come back to that in just a moment. But before we press on, I do need to very quickly remind you of our question of the day, which is this. That's the wrong question of the day. I'll correct that in just a moment. The actual question of the day, which is in the chat anyway, if you could have a superpower, what superpower would you choose? Now, there's a bit of me that thinks we may have asked this one before. However, our audience is much bigger these days, and besides, your answers might have changed, I guess. I always thought that the power of flight would be awesome, mainly because I hate driving and modern airports and modern plane travel and what have you. However, given some of the stuff I've had to deal with in recent years, the ability to read minds or to judge a person's true character would be a lot more useful. But what about you? What superpower would you most like to have? While you're thinking about that, I'll roll a bit of this. Now, I am going to start the things in just a moment, but Steve Williams has just turned up. So here's the mystery machine as it stands at the moment. There you are. That is what you're working with. You've got 2 frames there. I'm looking for either the name or, better still, the nickname of that machine. If you can come up with that, that would be absolutely awesome. Now, we have a guest. Before we get to the guest, I'm going to show you why he's here. I spent a couple of days at Hillhead, and I saw Liebherr, and I saw Hyundai, and Komatsu, and JCB, and all of the major manufacturers. Came away very, very impressed indeed. But I was more impressed by something that I saw for the first time in person, and it looked like this.
My name is Florian, and I'm the director for the business area automotive at Hammerglass. It is a 300 times stronger than glass, unbreakable solution for construction machines, where you can replace the regular glass windows with our material and be safe in your daily work environment. It's a polycarbonate, a very special one, secret in the composition of the material that makes it extremely break resistant, but also optical very, very clear, which is important for machines when you're driving and you need to see where you're going. So we have 100% UV resistant in our material, which means that sunlight cannot really change its optical properties. So after 10, 15 years, the window will still look the same and be the same clear as on day one. The flexing obviously helps also with distributing the energy in the right way. I mean, even if you have a large rock that comes into it, it doesn't hit a completely straight surface. It actually does, with the flexing, distribute the energy in a good way all around the surface, and therefore makes it even more durable and break resistant. Those grids maybe take away a big rock, yes, but if you have smaller rocks with high speed, they will fit directly through the openings of the grid and still will smash the window or even hurt the driver behind the grid. So we feel that this solution is more safe, and it also gives the driver a complete view on his work environment, which is also a safety aspect on top of it. If you don't see exactly what you're doing, it becomes more dangerous. Open pit mining, then we work a lot with demolition, where it's a really popular product. Material handling, recycling, the whole forestry industry with the big tree logs, or also the chain shot problems. There is really multiple applications, and you know what? A window can break while you're doing a normal road construction. That's also an issue. It can always happen, so better be safe than sorry, right?
Now, the star of that show obviously was Hammerglass, the product itself, but the co-star was our man Florian, who's here. Good morning, Florian.
Hello, good morning, Mark. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure. As I was saying before we actually played the film, I came away, very impressed with Liebherr and Komatsu and Hitachi and all of these things. But the one that stuck in my mind was unquestionably Hammerglass. It's quite an impressive product. How long has that actually been in development, or how long has it been available even?
Well, the company itself, Hammerglass, is already on the market working with these kind of materials since the late 1990s, actually. But we started to work also in the construction machine world and windows for machines and even cars from 2006. So it's been around for a long time. Especially here in Scandinavia and in Sweden, where we are from. But we have some experience, and it has a long development history.
One of the things that impressed me most about the Hammerglass display was the way that you got the audience interaction. On the face at Hillhead, there were lots of people paying lots of money for operators to drive their machines. You just put a cab in place and let everybody have a good whack with a sledgehammer, but it worked perfectly well.
Yeah, the thing is, I think if you can try something yourself, like people are used to take a sledgehammer and hit any glass in any machine today, and it will break. So if you get this emotional experience by having with your own power and feel like, okay, I'm hitting this, it's quite funny when people start to hit it, they always just hit a little bit because they're afraid, oh, this is going to break directly, until they realize, no, I hit it harder. It still doesn't. And I hit it harder again. So it gives you kind of a more emotional, I think, feedback by doing it yourself than it does otherwise by just watching something, if you understand what I want to say.
What anybody that's following us on Instagram will be aware of this. We actually put an Instagram post out of the Hammerglass being hit at Hillhead. 1.7 million views so far, and a lot of people have been saying over on there, we didn't hit it hard enough. We definitely did, and if you hit it in the corner of the window, it would make a difference. We did that as well. It makes no difference at all, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't, and it's quite funny to see when you do these things on fairs, especially with people, they want to show like, no, I can break it and so on. And I can tell you, we had sometimes on the fairs at the end of the day when you probably had like 600-700 hits on that with a sledgehammer. I myself thinking like, this must break now at one stage. It's actually every time, even for myself, a little bit like, wow, it still holds up. And it doesn't have a weak point really in that regard that you say, oh, I hit the edge and then it happens. That's not how the material is made. And it doesn't matter where you hit it, as you saw yourself.
Given the fact that we've got a lot of operators actually in the audience here, one of the things that I think is worth noting, obviously we filmed that from the outside, and you can see, there are scratches on the outside, but there is nothing on the inside at all. Nothing at all. There's not cracks, or the inside is completely unharmed, right?
Yes, and the system that has been hit during the fair and that you can see in the video is our Hammerglass guard, which is a system to replace the grid guards or the FOPS guards that you usually have in front of the machines. And that has actually two windows inside. So what you see the people hitting is only 4mm Hammerglass, and behind it is a 12mm Hammerglass window. So you'll always have a two-window solution. And the 4mm is exactly to take all these little dents and scratches that you will get over a certain amount of time when you walk in a quarry, for example, and then you can replace it again and again. So the 12mm will never be touched usually during the whole machine life, unless you would have a huge accident where maybe the 12mm gets a little bit scratched also. But it's usually the 4mm that people are hitting and that you can replace anytime you want.
We've had a couple of comments here. Steve Williamson, this is what we say in the UK is closing the door after the horse is bolted. I needed Hammerglass on the big side window. I tracked over a spray can buried in the ground and it blew, throwing stones and the window shattered and fell in. That was last week. Some scare. Well, call Florian. I'm sure he can help you out. Here's a good question, though, from Gary Muirhead, another operator. Can you polish out scratching or damage to it? Can you polish out?
No, I mean, very little surface scratches you can actually, but it depends obviously how deep the scratches are and if you have like stones flying in there. I mean, if you would have a rock that is the size of a fist flying in there, let's say with 200-300 kilometers an hour, then you would have a little dot on the outer window. You won't have like as big as you saw with a sledgehammer, which is obviously extreme. and it will look like maybe a stone chip in a car window, or like just a little dot that doesn't go bigger but stays the little dot it is. And that's why we have this screensaver solution with a 4mm, because if you, after a year or 2 years in those environments, have maybe 10 of those dots, and every of those dots would have been a broken glass window in the past, you just replace the 4mm when you feel like, okay, now I have a few of those dots in my viewing field. But those you can't polish out. No, they are there, but they will have the solution to exchange the 4mm in that case.
Okay, more questions. One from Dan Cullen. What is the cost and what pressure will it take before it gives way? I mean, I'll leave Florian to answer that, but one of the things, if you get a moment, go and have a look at the Hammerglass YouTube channel, where they're actually dropping boulders onto pieces of this polycarbonate. It really is very impressive. But what is the cost differential, Florian, roughly?
Well, if we're talking about the pure window replacement, meaning like the guy you had before with his side window, Hammerglass is usually around 20 to 30% more expensive than the original glass window from the manufacturer. So that gives you an idea. So 20, 30% more than you would pay for the next glass window that will break again. If we're talking about the Hammerglass guard solution, which replaces your metal bars and the grid and is fully certified for that, you're looking around the same cost as those metal bar guards, I would say. But it depends a little bit from machine to machine, from model to model, and so on. But this is a roundabout figure. Regarding the breaking point, I mean, we obviously try to test our products to the limits. We do an explosion test with each of those guards, 3 kilos TNT from 3 meter distance, which doesn't break it. We have that certificate. We do a FOBS level 2 testing, 250 kilos from 5 meter height. Again, it's a certificate we have, and that can take it. But we, we don't go on and say, let's drop 500 kilos and let's drop a ton or something like that, because obviously there will be at one stage a point where it breaks. But what we have seen so far, that there are more damages on the rest of the machine than on the Hammerglass if you have a really heavy hit, to be honest. So I haven't seen it breaking.
Chris Ford says, and it's Chris's birthday today, so good morning, Chris, and happy birthday. How do you go on, as a lot of windows have a curve in them? Is Hammerglass glass made for specific machines?
Yes, we do have probably by now around 1,600 articles in our database for all the brands, I would say, that are the players in the market. So you always order the specific window for the specific machine. So we have those already made. And if they are curved, they also come curved from us. So if you have a curved window, we can actually warm form the material and make curved windows the same way you can make a glass window into a curved window. So you will always get an article that you order. You don't do anything yourself. You get a window that exactly fits and looks like the original glass window, is installed the same way as the original glass window, and you just install it into your machine.
Steve Williamson says, was it Hammerglass that were demonstrating on the Menzimuck booth at Bauma last time? I think it was.
Yes, it was. Absolutely. Yes. Menzimuck is a very good partner of ours. We're working with them for many years. They use the material in their machines from factory. And yes, it was us. And it will be on the next Bauma. So if you come by, you will find us again with Menzimuck next.
Well, I will certainly be there, and I'm fairly sure Steve Williamson will be there. He asked another question. Can you get Hammerglass pre-tinted?
Well, we do have what we call IR material, which has a green tint to it already, so you can buy that. It is 50% heat reducing, that's why we're tinting it. You can use that in all windows in your machine except for the front window, because of the certification for the road. You can't use a tinted window in the front, but no tinted window at all, no matter if it's glass or Hammerglass. But all our roof windows, for example, that we do for the excavators and wheel loaders are always, and wheel loaders doesn't have roofs usually, but for the excavators, are always this IR material, because usually the sun comes from the top, and then you have this green tint. If you want other tints for more, I don't know, optical reasons and look reasons, you need to work with tinting foils that you can put on the Hammerglass. Also, if you want it gray tinted or red tinted or whatever.
I think he's after a birthday discount here. Chris Ford says, I'm getting excited, sat here learning about Hammerglass. I think they might have a new customer. Florian, meet Chris. Chris, meet Florian. Gary Muirhead has just said the cost of Hammerglass could be offset against not paying for vandalism guards as well. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about sort of operational protection, but vandal guards, that's another item altogether.
Yeah, and it's actually quite funny. I mean, we are a Swedish company and we work, I would say UK is now the last European market that we are starting off in. We are more popular already, I would say, in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and so on. And I do have to say the vandalism issue seems to be a very UK-based issue. We don't have this really in Sweden at the same time where you have it there. And it was one of the first things that people came and said, like, whoa, great, wait a second. If I have this in my machine, nobody can also break in from the outside. And yes, you're right. You have this protection too. If somebody throws a beer bottle or a stone in it to get in, they won't get in either. We are actually, we have in Hammerglass, we're also working not only for machines, but we also have a property section that secures buildings. So we are working with jewelry shops and stuff like that for break-in protection also.
I'd love to see some CCTV of somebody trying to break into a jewelry shop with Hammerglass. they'd be there the whole night, I think.
Go to our webpage or to our YouTube channel. It exists. We have 2 original windows, one inside a jewelry shop where they try to hit and break up the display cases that are made of Hammerglass and have to leave again. And one actually in the UK on the outside on the door where they're trying to break into it with the use of a car and a wood pellet by driving it into the door and have to leave again after 30 seconds because they don't get in. So those 2 videos actually exist on our YouTube channel and on our homepage.
I'm going to go and check those out. Steve Williamson says vandal guards are a pain in the arse thing to fit with Hammerglass. You don't need it. Great, indeed. Steve also makes this point, which I think is a valid one. Is the Hammerglass system patented? Because it's something that other brands, OEM brands, should be fitting. You actually deal with some of the OEM brands already, don't you?
Yes, we do. We have JCB is our most long-lasting OEM partner. We delivered to JCB for 10 years for their site dumper that has a cabin in front of the loading area. They're using Hammerglass there in the front. Also Merlo, Ennagreen, Menzimuk, I just mentioned, and a few others that we already deal with towards the factory. And the other question, sorry, now I lost the track on the rest of the question, but we have the OEM side. We're working with the OEMs directly, yes.
Yeah, the other part of the question was, is it patented? I mean, I guess there is.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, so our Hammerglass guard system, which is the frame system that replaces the FOPS guards and the steel bars, that is a worldwide patent. Yes, there we have a worldwide patent on. The material itself is a little bit like Coca-Cola. It's in the composition of the material, all the different resins you use to produce it. So there is not a patent, but it is a formula secret that only we have.
I'll come to Steve again in just a second. What sort of temperature can Hammerglass take if it's working in a steelworks near heat and a furnace? I guess it's been tested with highs and lows of temperature?
So the testings we have is plus 90 and minus 60 degrees is tested and certified. But we have quite a lot of customers who use it on wheel loaders in the steel mills, where they go in and take out the hot metal into their buckets and are exposed to like 600 degrees for a short amount of time. And we're very successful on there because they have the problem if they have glass in the machines and they have a little hot steel part that hits it, usually the glass cracks directly, even if it's like bulletproof safety glass or whatever. Whereas our product with the 2 windows, those little steel hot parts go just into the 4mm, and then you again change the 4mm after a while. So we do this a lot for steel plants. They're very happy with the solution.
One of the questions that came up a lot on our Instagram post was the ability to escape from a cab. If a machine rolls over, I think traditionally you could probably kick out the front window and get yourself out to safety. Obviously, you're not going to kick your way out of Hammerglass. What is your take on that? I mean, I realise there are other windows to climb through, but that was a big question.
Yeah, I mean, there is obviously rules for this, and there is like a machine directive that tells you about your emergency exits, and you usually have to have 2 in each machine. One is always the door, and the other one is usually in an excavator, the rear window. So if you really choose to take the whole cabin with Hammerglass, every single window, also the rear, then you're right. Then you can't have the little hammer anymore to break the rear window to get out. But for that case, we supply actually Hammerglass in a little frame that we produce that has handles on the inside, and you take out the whole window, and also for a key on the outside to take out the window. And that is an approved solution. So you need to do this if you really make the whole machine in Hammerglass. But then in demolition and all these kind of things, they usually just leave the rear window with glass because they usually don't have problems from the back. That's more in mining or something when they're really underground and something can happen from everywhere. But in that case, we have a special emergency exit solution for all the machine models that you can use, and you still have your 2 emergency exits approved.
I thought you would have thought of that, but I'm pleased to say that you did. Jim Turner says, could it be used as a double glazed unit and used in a normal house window? My guess is it probably can.
Yes, we're having actually a property business, as I said, in Hammerglass, which does exactly that. We even make insulated glass units. We have an insulation machine that makes insulated glass. We can combine glass and Hammerglass. So if you have already windows in your house that you don't want to take out, we have what we call an add-on system that you add on to the outside of that window or to the inside of the window to protect also houses. So we do actually private houses, especially on the ground floors where, burglary resistance and break-in cannot happen anymore.
Dan Collins just said this, amazing to see JCB involved with this product. Have you got the NFDC, that's the National Federation of Demolition Contractors, to confirm on demolition jobs and health and safety, executive safety, so you can exclude the bars on the window? That was one of the questions that I asked while we were at Hillhead. You know, a demolition specification excavator in the UK has guards top and front.
Yes.
Legally, can you just take those off and carry on? I don't know what the...
Well, legally, it's the machine directive that helps you with that and the ISO standard. And in this ISO standard, it basically says that you need a FOPS-tested operator protective guard on the machine. And that is this FOPS level 2 test that I'm talking a lot about, where they have this 250 kilo weight that they drop from 5.2 meters, I think, in the height. That's how they test those steel guards. And we have the same test with our product. So that means we have that certificate, which is the same that the steel guard needs to go through. So that means, yes, already certified. With the certification you get on a plaque with the frame and with a certificate in written that you can put into your glove compartment or whatever, we are certified on that. There are certain, like in Germany, for example, the BauBG, which is I think the same version what you were talking about in the UK, they are even recommending Hammerglass as a solution for these FOPS guards. On the roof, you still need to have it. So what you do is you still have your grid on the roof and you put the gridless part on the front instead of the front guard, because for the roof you need to also have a FOPS level 2 approved, and for that it's not enough to just put a Hammerglass window on the roof. It's the whole roof that needs to be FOPS level 2 approved. So for that you put your grid on the top in a demolition machine, but you put the Hammerglass guard on the front, because usually, I mean, you look through the front most of the time when you're working also in demolition, and then you have your free view without anything disturbing you, and on the top you still have your grid guard. Awesome.
Chris Ford says, is it a specialist operation to replace a window, or can anyone do it? I guess if you've got this database of existing machines, it is just a pop in and pop out,
yes.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's installed into the cabin in the same way as the original glass window. So usually they are glued in many ways. In most of the times, the upper front window is glued. It comes with this black mask around it for the primer and for the glue and so on. And the lower one is often just put into a little frame. So that's the same here with Hammerglass then. Installation is the same as the original window. And anybody who can install a glass window into a cabin can install a Hammerglass window into a cabin. It's done a lot by glaziers, but a lot of our customers who have done this before, they do it themselves. So yeah, it's not much harder than, or not at all harder than the original one.
Awesome. Steve Williamson says, have you done any agricultural vehicles?
A few we have done, yes. Often the back window of the tractors or the side windows when they're using it for mulching, or the infamous hedge cutting, which only exists in the UK and Ireland because you have hedges on all your roads. And yes, we have done a few of those, but you know, not many. So it depends on what tractor you have. We can look in our database. Yes, we have it already, or we don't. If we don't have it done yet, we can do it. We can do any window in Hammerglass in a very short amount of time, provided we get a drawing on the measurements and the size and rounded edges or whatever, so we can actually copy the original window.
Okay, I think you may have answered this, but here's Dan Cullen. If you remove just the window bars only, would it still get past the health and safety executive?
Well, if you remove the bars and put the Hammerglass guard solution on the machine, it is absolutely approved by the HSE and we'll go through it because we have the same certification that you have for the bars.
Okay. Are you offering factory fit Hammerglass? I guess that's going to be linked to the OEMs that you're working with, like JCB, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, as I said, we're working with a few OEMs. Some of them, like if I take now Merlo with their 3M brand for forestry, if we take Energreen, they are actually selling the machines with Hammerglass completely. So it's not even an option. You get it from factory with Hammerglass because they believe it's the best solution and most safe for their customers and drivers. And then we have others, if we're looking at Liebherr, Sendibogen and so on, that offer it as an option where you can add, as the customer ask and say like, oh, I want it with Hammerglass instead, then they will do the build-up of the cabin with Hammerglass.
Awesome. Steve Williamson says we need Hammerglass iPhone screens. Yes, we do. Let's have a look. Chris Ford also says, sounds great. Pity I missed Hillhead. Sounds like something I actually need. And Gary Muirhead says, smart thinking, Hammerglass. Sounds like you've every angle covered. Great presentation. Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree.
Thank you very much. Very nice to hear. And thanks so much for the exposure. I was thinking like with your mystery machine, if that is outfitted with Hammerglass or not. So I'll still wait what it's going to be.
Let me just tell you, it predates Hammerglass by a lot of years. It's a bit older than Hammerglass, so yeah.
But you can retrofit it. You can also fit it. You know, it's not a worry if you have a broken window in the machine, even if it's 20 years old. We probably will have the solution because we're on the market for so long.
Fantastic stuff. Look, what I'm going to let you go, Florian, because I know I've taken up most of your morning, and I know you're going on vacation this week as well, so I don't want to hold you up any longer. What we'll do, if there's any more questions, what I'll do, I'll gather them all together and I'll send them to you to answer at your leisure. How about that?
Absolutely. It was a real pleasure and a joy, and I could do this another hour, no worries. I just say thank you. It's fantastic work that you're doing. It's very entertaining also the way you're doing it, and really interesting. And it's great to see that people are dedicated on this, and especially also take on the safety part of things, because I think this is something that is sometimes too neglected in our business. I think we're very important to look at electrification and all these kind of things, but still there is a person behind a wheel sitting in these damn things. And like if there are a solution to keep that person safe, why should he have a more unsafe place than sitting in front of a computer and typing all day? So it's really great to see that people are taking this on and say like, hey, there is something that keeps people more safe.
Well, you were speaking too long because we've had another question, and this one comes from Mr. Adrian McLean of Armac Demolition, who says, is there a UK supplier?
Yeah, we have a partner in the UK that is can supply and also can install, for example. It's also a thing. So if somebody is interested to say, I also want somebody to come here and fit the machine, we can sort that. So we have a partner in the UK that we're working with, and otherwise, always contact us or me directly, and I will get it on to the right channels so that you get help in the best possible way.
Awesome. Well, I've sent Adrian your email address already. If there is a UK installer, then you got that yourselves.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, just one final thing. Steve Williamson says, great presentation. I will pop by for coffee at Balmer.
Absolutely. We have some beer too.
But, well, it's in Germany. Of course you have beer. It's not even optional there, is it? You have to have the beer. Florian, you've been an absolute star. Thank you ever so much for your help at Hillhead. Thank you even more for your help this morning. Wish you well with Hammerglass, and I'll be speaking to you very soon.
Thank you for having me. Have a great show.
Thank you very much indeed. Right. German beer is the best beer, says Steve Williamson. I'm inclined to agree with that, even though I don't partake myself. But yes, I do agree with that. Right. Now we've done that. Let's do this. Right, we will come on to the next part of the show in just a moment, but I do need to recap on our mystery machine, because I can tell you we do have a winner. The actual winner is our friend Garvin over on Mostly Diggers. Before we get on to the answer of that, he's just said 10 out of 10 to Hammerglass, comprehensive answer to every question. Totally agree. Now, I mean, literally by 2 frames, our friend Garvin had got the answer on this. Steel Wrist Official are watching over on YouTube, on Instagram rather. Lou Kahn is over there as well. So our mystery machine. Let me go back to where we were. Chris Ford, his superpower. That's our question of the day. The power to name the mystery machine first. Or first guess, he says. So I can tell you, let me go back. That's about where it started. I think Dan Cullen says a Volvo BM30 Moxie. It is not. He also says a Volvo DR631 10-ton ADT Moxie. Now, the 631 bit is right. I can tell you were actually beaten to this by our friend Garvin, but the 631 is absolutely right. And Steve says, nickname Charlie or Harley, can't remember, BM Volvo 630. It is not. It is, in fact, the DR 631, which is, as our friend Garvin pointed out over on Instagram, it was known as Gravel Charlie. Let me show you Gravel Charlie in all her yeah, as it's a Charlie, I'm going with a boy. There you are. That is basically where the history of Volvo ADTs began. It looked like that. That is the DR631 Gravel Charlie. And I can tell you that means that Garvin is now on, let me see, he's got 3, he's got 6. So, top of the leaderboard at the moment is Steve Williamson and Garvin, both of whom are on 6 points each. And myself and Dan Cullen are bringing up the rear. You were very close, Steve, no question about it. Hats off to Garvin, yeah, indeed. With hindsight, I kind of mugged myself off with that one, because Garvin was actually up at Volvo in Eskilstuna about 3 or 4 days after I was there, and he got to see that machine. So I would imagine it was probably still fresh in his mind. Steve Williamson says, it's on, Garv. Yeah, gloves are off. Gloves are off. It's getting tight at the top of the table. Congratulations, guys. Well done. Very, very impressed. Now, let me take, I'm going to get that away from, no, it's okay. That's gone. I can get rid of that. Just tidying up my screen. I do apologize. It's looking a bit untidy. Yes. Should we have something explosive? Shall we? I think we should. And just in answer to Steve Williamson saying, it's on, Garvin has just said, bring it on. Bring it on. I'll bring this on instead.
knew that they were going to go into it.
Too much information, Mr. Ford. I had something explosive after something I ate. I think we've all been there. Let me take that away because we do need to crack on because we're at 42 minutes and we've still got another couple of films to play. So let me roll one of these.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
No better explanation for the film I'm about to show you, other than the fact the machine looks fantastic and the music is brilliant. Yeah, I know nothing about forestry, but I do know good music when I hear it. Gary Muirhead says, just waiting on SMT Volvo servicing the machine. First 500 hours. It seems like only a day or two. You got that new machine. So good to see you're working hard, Gary. And you've got a holiday coming up, have you not? Have you not? Looking forward to that, I'm sure. We've got more. We have got more to show you. What else have I got to show you? Oh, yes, I know. We're going back to Hillhead. This time not with Hammerglass. We're going to be doing it with Liebherr. Be back after this. Yeah, we've already been to Hillhead once with Hammerglass, which was fun. This one's fun too. This is the mighty Liebherr.
We're here at Hillhead 2024 and we're on the stand of the mighty Liebherr. One of the most interesting products here is the Generation 8 dozers. This is the PR726 and this right here is its bigger brother, the PR736. And this is the L566 X-Power wheel loader. Behind me is the Liebherr TA230 and it's being loaded by an R938 excavator. But if you think that's impressive, wait till you see what Liebherr have got over at the face.
Apparently, the auto-generated captions on that. Where is Chris? Chris is over on Facebook. Love the auto-generated captions. Liebherr. I'll try a pint. Do you know I'd try a pint if it was called Liebherr? You are aware that my youngest daughter was convinced that Liebherr was one person. First name Lee, second name Bear. Yeah, indeed. Gary Muirhead, off to Tenerife again at the end of August for 10 nights. Can't wait. No less than you deserve, Gary. Give my regards to the family. I hope you have a fantastic time. That's a blast and a half. I think Dan may actually be sending us messages via carrier pigeon. That was ages ago. Steve says, my granddad was a well-known person at Liebherr. He got taken around the shows with them just to help them drink the alcohol back in the days. I wonder if anybody at Liebherr still remembers Mr. Williamson's grandfather. What was the time difference between my guess and Garvin's? Well, I'll tell you now, I don't actually have a record of the time on Instagram. It doesn't work like that. But I'll tell you, literally, I can show you. Garvin answered it when it looked like that. You answered it when it looked like that. So I can tell you, Garvin, unquestionably the winner. Yes, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show, I think. I think it does. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. I hope to see you all again very soon. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll be back with the Craic immediately after this final word from our key show sponsor, which is MB Crusher. If you would like any further questions asked about all things Hammerglass, please let me have them, and I'll pass them on to Florian and his team, and we'll get those answered for you. But in the meantime, let me have a smidgen of this. Bit of music, I would suggest. So let's have a bit of this one. Oh yeah, that feels like Monday morning music, and no mistake. How are we all doing? Hope we're all fit and well. How was your weekend? Let's have a look. Saw something this morning on Facebook or TikTok where Liebherr had 2 cranes fastened by their jibs to a mining excavator undercarriage. What was the point of that? Steve Williamson, I will ask a question. When will they bring out Hammerglass, pint glasses and wine glasses? Always smashing them. Drink less, Steve, is the answer there. You break a lot less if you're still upright at the end of the evening. I'm just throwing that out there as a piece of advice from somebody that used to do that but doesn't any longer. Our question of the day, and I can't honestly remember whether our question of the day had been asked before. And before I get to that, let me just remind you, my open letter to the new Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, is available for you to read at your leisure. Our question of the day, which came from Gary Muirhead, was this: what superpower would you most like to have? There's a bit of me nagging away in the background that said, I think we've done this before. I don't care, because we have a bigger audience than we've ever had before. So I did it anyway. I'll come back to that. Jim said, good article, Mark. That's the open letter to Keir Starmer. Good article, Mark, but I doubt anything will change drastically. But I'm hoping he goes mad with house building and the local authorities are forced to alter the current build lines and my bit falls inside them. Then I can retire. Well, not retire, but in fact, just graft on my own projects and sod all this making other folks rich. Now, can I find it? Just talk amongst yourselves, because I want to show you a thing. So, I need to bring this up. Share screen. There you are. So, in answer to your question, your prayers, Jim, this from this morning's Construction Inquirer. Rachel Reeves to unveil planning revolution. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, is set to unveil major reforms to the planning system today and set house building targets as construction is placed at the forefront of kickstarting economic growth. New measures will also be unveiled to unblock infrastructure and private investment. Reeves will make her first major speak to business leaders today as she vows to fix the foundations of Britain's economy. She's expected to say, our manifesto was clear. Sustained economic growth is the only route to improving the prosperity of our country and the living standards of of people. This morning, I want to outline the first steps this new government has taken to fix the foundations of our economy so we can rebuild Britain and make every part of our country better off. Well, let's hope that one of the parts of the country she makes better off is my part. And once she's dealt with that, maybe Jim's part as well. But yeah, look like they are, well, at least they're seeing through some of their pre-election pledges. We shall see. I'm not going to get carried away, but we shall see. Going back to our question of the day, which was, what superpower do you like? The power to read minds, expressly working with these brain monkeys that I'm working with. Yeah, it would be handy, wouldn't it? It would be handy. I mean, I'd like to be able to, you know that some people say, oh, he's a good judge of character. Turns out I'm not. Turns out a fast-talking, slick-talking spiv can pull the wool over my eyes. Morning, Worthing, by the way. So yes, I'd like the ability, not necessarily to read minds, but just to get a better handle on exactly what somebody's all about, because I've been caught out. Steve Williamson, question of the time: time travel. Oh yeah, turn back time and change things, or to revisit. So, whenever you mention time travel, you have to do this. Given the opportunity, could you travel back to Austria, find the infant Adolf Hitler and put a bullet between his eyes? Could you? Would you? What effect would that have? Love to hear from you. Loads and loads of stuff on our Hammerglass. There we are. Jim Turner says, question of the day: immortality. Everything can be achieved if we have enough time. Yeah, that would be a nice one. Although I'd kind of need those that I love to have immortality as well, which starts to get a little bit complicated. Don't want to watch them all dying off. And if I was going to be immortal, I'd rather have set the immortality when I was about 22, 23 years old, when I was still young enough to enjoy it. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Most of this is Hammerglass related, which I'm pleased to see, I have to say. That is a good answer, though. What superpower Chris Ford like? The power to name the mystery machine first guess. It turns out that a couple of people have actually got that, which is slightly annoying. Chris Ford says, I can watch a chimney come down all day. The way they lose their structure as well as they fall rather intrigues me. Yeah. If you get a chance to go and see one, they really, really are impressive. Once you've got over that initial shock of the blast wave hitting you. Let's have a look. Who else do we have here? Have you seen ISG has a new buyer to take over? I knew they were up for sale. Hadn't seen news on the new buyer. No, not seeing that there, but I'll go and have a look. Jim Turner says, let's hope 15 acres of it is my part too. I have my fingers crossed for you. Question of the day: I'd like the ability to judge character of people and sort out the dummies. Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Chris Ford says, how was the weekend? Saturday we spent fetching a long-reach excavator from Dungeness back to Derbyshire. A bloody long way. A bloody long day on Sunday, unloading it and doing an inspection to see what we have to do to it. Dungeness. Isn't Dungeness the UK's... Is that? I think Dungeness might be the UK's only desert. I think I'm right in saying that. Let me just check. Yes, apparently it is. Well, apparently, and I don't know quite how they define this. I'll read it. Apparently, to be a proper desert, you need less than 250 millimeters of rain per year. Dungeness gets more, but apparently in all other respects, it is a desert. Yeah, the desert of Dungeness. I've been there. It's quite deserty. I went to the power station just And there's a very good fish and chip shop up the road as well. Can't remember the name of it for the life of me. Just round the corner from Dimchurch, where I had a very, very unpleasant holiday as a child. That's a whole other story. Everybody, that is an hour of your time. A number of things. Look after yourselves, obviously. Thank you very much indeed for all your input with the folks at Hammerglass this morning. Really appreciate that. Don't forget, do not forget this. Yeah, we've got our Volvo showcase on Wednesday night with Anne on the left, Bill on the right, and lots of Volvo machines to show you. We've featured some of them before, some of them you may not have seen before, but it is an opportunity for you to ask questions. So all of the stuff that I thought I'd covered when I was filming them up in Eskilstuna, if I missed it, you can ask questions. You can get into a debate as well about all things electric, because obviously Volvo is one of the pioneers of that. Also one of the pioneers in things like fossil-free steel, if you'd like to get into that. Chris Ford says, Wednesday night, Volvo and football. Not a bad mix, right? Not a bad mix at all. It's like we plan these things. We really don't. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. Obviously, Volvo. One of my favourite brands. They always do the job very, very well. So looking forward to hosting them. I know Bill very well. I've known him for a number of years. So looking forward to catching up with him. Don't know Anna so well, but looking forward to see what she's got to contribute. So put that in your diary, 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Let's have a look. Footy's just said, sorry I'm late. I hope you're having a great day. Hammering down here with rain in Devon. Yeah, how's this for good fortune? So my daughter is away. My eldest daughter is away on holiday in Chelsea with my 3 grandchildren, partner, and everything else. The weather looked absolutely awful here over the weekend. It didn't stop raining pretty much the entire weekend here in Surrey. We got a phone call from her yesterday. She said 2 days of constant sunshine. She's 50, 60 miles up the road, but she's had a fantastic time. So all good. Dan Cullen says, have a fantastic day, guys. Dan, you do likewise. If I play my cards right, I can keep talking. We can actually do this exactly 1 hour. Stay safe. It's the piss down tomorrow. Sun beaming today. Well, wherever you are, please stay safe. Try and stay dry. Try and stay cool or warm or whatever the British weather throws at you. And thunder yesterday. Yeah, we had a bit of that as well. Everybody, go have a fantastic day. I'll be back for more of the same on the morrow. Till then, all the best.